I really didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? I already had a job in place at the time. Many of you may be working as you're in college now. My idea was that I would just move up in the company that I was with, and so I found that that was not the case. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you should be doing to prepare yourself after, as college nears its end, and some of the things you can do to help get yourself better. So a couple things we're going to talk about today. We're going to create the plan. Those who fail to plan, right, plan to fail. And so we're going to talk about your first job out of college, what to expect, finding the right company and what that means to you, experience gaps and disadvantages, so some of the things you're going to have to be prepared for as you're applying for a role, searching online versus going to career fairs, and we'll talk a little bit about both of those things, the importance of follow-up and networking. We're going to talk about tailoring your resume, interviews, do's and don'ts. We're going to talk about salary negotiation and accepting the offer, at which point Chris will come in and talk a little bit about what to expect in terms of benefits, how to read your paycheck, just some miscellaneous things that you really should be prepared for once you get the job. And then we'll talk about building your brand once you have the job, okay? So create a plan. Create a plan. The big question is what is your end goal, right? What do you want to be when you grow up, right? And FYI, you're grown up now. Right? So whatever your plan is, it should take you to that end goal. And what steps will it take to get there? If I say that I want to be a judge on the Ninth Circuit Court, I can't just get out of college and be a judge on the Ninth Circuit Court. It doesn't work like that, right? Chances are I'm going to have to be a lawyer, I'm going to have to make connections, and I'm going to have to find those steps to get where I want to go. And so your plan should say, this is where I need to start, this is what it's going to take to get there, and then this is how I'm going to accomplish those things, and it should be specific, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start, let's say, at XYZ law firm. I don't really know because I'm not a lawyer, but I should start at this law firm. I'm going to get this experience. I'm going to meet with someone who can get me where I need to go and go from there, right? Oftentimes, when we're creating the plan, other career opportunities will come up. And the question is that career choice going to take me to my next goal, right? Sometimes it's necessary to take one step back to take two steps forward. Sometimes other jobs have some things that are attractive but not necessarily going to get you there. Maybe it's a little more money, maybe it's more vacation time, maybe it's something that you want to do and it sounds fun but isn't necessarily the career you want. And so when those opportunities come, is that part of the plan? And if it isn't, then you may have to turn that down. And I think that's hard for people sometimes when they say, man, I would love to be a clown at the rodeo, that would be so much fun, but that's not going to help me be a lawyer, right? First job out of college. I want to set some expectations. Chances are is you're not going to be blown out of the water income-wise with your first job out of college, especially if it is literally your first job, right? So it's most likely going to be entry level, okay? I want you to think about a baseball player, okay? A lot of baseball players who get recruited out of college and high school, they do not normally go and start up. They sit on the bench for a little while, right? The veterans teach them how to play ball, right? So it's the same thing in the workforce, right? You're going to get out there and you're going to do grunt work. You're going to do tasks that may not seem important, but you have to prove that you're able to do those tasks before you're going to be given more responsibility, right? Your pay range is going to be anywhere from maybe 12, 13 bucks an hour. Could be as high as 25, 30, depends on your industry, on your field, but you'll want to research those things, right? And don't let the income be a driver to why you made the career choice, okay? I'll tell you a little story with me. I did banking for, gosh, almost 10 years, and I loved banking. But when I became a business banker, I was paid very well. It was about 63 base, plus there was a commission aspect. I hated the job. I absolutely hated it. I didn't have support from my company. I couldn't help my customers the way I wanted to, the way I could at a previous job. And I took that job because of the money. It was a huge increase from what I was making before, and I thought it was going to be all fun and games, and I was just going to make more money. It's not. And that ended up being my departure from banking completely. And so I would say for you, don't let income be a driver, especially on your first job. There are so many companies out there who will take you, they will grow you, and make you into what you want to be, but they're not going to pay you a whole lot of money up front. So don't let the income be that kicker. All right? It's most likely not going to be your career role. Your first job out of college, chances are you may not be working that same job 20 years from now, 30 years from now. So go into it with an open mind, and again, revert back to your plan, right? How does this job fit into my plan? right? Now, if your plan is to have that job right out of college and stick with that, great, perfect. Some people, they get their degree in accounting, they get out, they open up their own practice, and that is going to be their career. So for some people, that is it. But for most people, it's not. And so keep that in mind that it's only temporary. There's a saying I like to, I like a lot. It's that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional, right? And so you choose, right, to take that job, and maybe it's not the job that you want right then and there, but it's only temporary. It'll get you where you want to go, okay? Understand that your college degree is roughly the equivalent from an HR standpoint of 2 to 4 years of experience, okay? So just because you have the degree doesn't necessarily mean you're the best candidate for the job. You have to separate yourself from that. There are people who maybe don't have a degree but have been doing that same job for 10 or 20 years. But you're going to be able to overcome that. I had a friend who got her degree in accounting. She came out and she applied for Price Waterhouse, and she got beat out by another candidate. She was upset. But I have the degree. Yeah, so do 100,000 other people, right? So what separates you, and make sure that that's part of the plan. Lastly, be patient. Okay, don't settle necessarily if it's not part of the plan. I have a lot of friends from college who had plans to do other things, and they took the first job that they could, and you know what they did is they went and worked for Enterprise, and they were washing cars. Not that Enterprise is a bad company, I'm not trying to beat on Enterprise, but a lot of college students will go to those, or it's a vector to sell knives door to door, but it wasn't part of the plan. And the problem is when you do things that are not part of the plan, it's hard to get out of that, go back, and then find another job that puts you back in place of the plan. If I wanted to go back to banking today, that would be difficult for me because I've spent the last 4 or 5 years not in banking. So I don't know what the changes are in banking from an internal standpoint, right? They may hire me based on sales skills or whatever, but to get back into banking would be much harder than if I was still in a banking role today. All right.
Would I interject here that it's interesting? They did some studies on the expectations of college graduates versus the reality.
Right.
And they said the average college graduate thinks that they're going to land a job that pays somewhere between $60,000 and $90,000.
Right.
When they leave, and they said the reality is it's $37,000.
Yeah.
So it's slightly under $20 an hour.
So I want to take a minute here, not really a break necessarily, but anybody have any questions about what I've talked about? I do move fast, so if I'm moving too fast, let me know. Anything in particular that you want to ask?
About the last part that you talked right now about you're not in the field anymore, and life took you in a different path, so
sure.
How do you go back, or?
Well, I mean, you have to be willing to take a step back. So if I wanted to go back into banking today, right, I would want to be a manager or higher, right? That's what I would want to be. That would be my plan if I was to go back into banking. Now, I'm not a branch manager, right? So what's going to happen is I'm going to have to take a step back and be a personal banker again. And so I'd have to be a personal banker if I wanted to do that, which means that would be an income hit for me, and I have to be willing to take that income hit. And sometimes that may or may not be the case. With my current family situation, there's no way I could go back to being a personal banker. We wouldn't survive. Right? So you have to take those things into consideration, which is why it's easier when you have the plan already to know how to avoid those pitfalls rather than just kind of letting the wind take you wherever you want to go. And then all of a sudden, when you hit a tree branch, you say, oh crap, I actually don't want to be here. I want to be over there. But the wind is moving the other way, and so you have to fight the current. That's not too many metaphors there, but you have to be willing to take a step back. And so, yes, sir.
Daniel, you talked about taking that job and then being open to the possibilities. Is it possible that once that first job starts and it is part of your plan, but it's slightly different, that you can create a different plan based on that tree branch that you happen to bump into?
Yeah, plans should definitely be dynamic. They should not be static. So understand that it will change. And as you get older, you realize, you know what, I thought this was what I wanted to do, and this is not. And I think college is a great example of that. When I started college, I wanted to get a degree in accounting. I had a fantastic mentor. I had a fantastic teacher who was an accounting teacher. Got me passionate about accounting. Took my first accounting class, and I was like, screw that noise. Right? And that was not what I wanted to do. Plus, I'm one of those people, I like to talk to people, I like to laugh. And accounting isn't really a sales role. It's not a role where you talk to people very much. And that, for me, I need that. I thrive off other people, and I do better when I can make jokes and have a good time and just be me. And so I fell in love with economics because I was able to do something I was good at, math, with relationships. And so when I saw the link between those and I started reading more, that's what I have my degree in, is in economics. But absolutely, your plan should not be static, and you should be willing to let it change, but usually it doesn't change very much. You may say, okay, today I want to be a civil engineer, and then you go out and maybe you do an internship and you're like, maybe I want to do mechanical, maybe I want to do chemical, maybe I want to do something else still in that line. If you want to go completely separate from that, right? You said you do building right now, but you're thinking about doing marketing, right?
My degree was building design, but now I'm doing graphic design.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think about doing marketing, right?
Well, it's more related to graphic design than.
Sure. But is that what you want to do, or are you just trying to find something close?
At this point, I'm lost.
Let's put it this way, okay?
Yeah.
I put every job on the table. Every job knows your man. You pick
Whoa,
one,
whoa,
you
whoa.
got it. What is it?
Well,
Oh man, that's a good one.
I don't know.
Okay, something to think about, right? Because what I don't want you to do is, if you're not necessarily happy in graphic design, and you go to marketing, and you're not happy there, you're going to jump around. I can tell you from personal experience I did that. So I was disenfranchised with banking because I hated the job. And I was looking for an escape. And for me, I wanted to be a leader. I went to Fry's. And don't get me wrong, I loved working for Fry's. But they worked the crap out of me. I was working 50 plus hours a week. Taking vacation was like pulling an arm. And when it became most important to me to get family time, and I started to realize that family was more important than money, they wouldn't give me my time. So I left there and I took another job doing title loans. I hated doing title loans. Okay, there's nothing worse than knowing that you're going to repossess someone's car. Okay, or having to give someone an interest rate of 100 and something %, right? It sucks. And so, think about what you want to do and how you want to get there. And for me, I love selling people, not because I love selling people, because I love having conversations with people. I love just being me and getting paid to do that, right? And so that's something I'm naturally good at. And so when I took the role at Cox, that was something I was good at. And I got on the phones and, I was just a joker. I made jokes left and right, and customers liked me, my bosses liked me. And, I moved from their retention group to their sales group. I'm currently in a project now. I've got, we talked about the role. I've got an interview for a role in Vegas for a supervisor role. So, there's opportunities there, but you have to find what works with you and what's going to make you happy. Because, and we'll get to that in a slide, but part of it is you're going to do this job, right, or whatever career that you end up in, you're going to do it for a very long time, if not the rest of your life, right? So you should at least feel happy, fulfilled, right? You should feel good about it. If you're waking up in the morning, you're dreading going to work, that's usually a sign that you should find another job. Anything else? Sorry, before I go on.
Well, I think Daniel's point, though, is the biggest thing is just you have to maybe sometimes research, too, on what you really want and what skills are required to do that job. And so then once you find out what you want, if you don't have the skills, that's when you have to develop those skills in order to go for that. And that may be other jobs or other ways of developing the skills. But the first thing is to dream big.
Yeah,
That's true.
so it kind of leads me to the next point. So finding the right company. Okay. So I want to go back into my banking experience. I absolutely loved working for Chase Bank. I felt like we had a family company. Everyone there was helpful. The company made it so easy to help your customers out. Never had to worry about my sales getting stolen. My bosses were always trying to elevate anyone who wanted to be elevated. I felt taken care of. The job that I went for more money was at Bank of America. Bank of America, their system sucked. I couldn't take care of my customer if I wanted to. Okay, my boss had no idea how to do my job. My boss didn't care. Right, my colleagues were interfering. We had territories in my job. So I had a zip code and 3 branches, and anything that fell in those 3 branches was mine. My colleagues were going into my territories to take business, and I was having to go to theirs to get business. It was a dog-eat-dog world, and I hated it, right? And so for you, you're going to have to find the company that's right for you. And whether that means, do they give back to the community, right? I work for a company that gives back left and right. Cox is constantly doing stuff, and you know what? They don't tout it. They don't go on TV and say, look, we give back. You know, I watched this Lerner and Rowe commercial, right? Every dollar we get, we're going to donate. We don't need to do that because it's not the right thing to do. It's the wrong reason to do it. You do it because it's the right thing to do, right? And maybe it is the money. Some people are money motivated and that's what they want. And if you pay them X amount of money, they'll do anything, right? Some people are like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just everyone's different, right? Maybe the job just makes you happy. Maybe it doesn't pay a whole lot. Maybe you don't have everything you want, but it just makes you happy to go in and do it, right? And maybe it's got a little bit of everything, right? And I love this diagram here. It talks about what you love and what you're good at, you can be happy but poor, right? If what you love, it pays well, it's probably just a dream, right? If what you're good at, it pays well, you're rich, but you're bored. If you can get all of these things, it's a win, right? So your goal is to get as many of those things as you can, but it's not always the case. Depending on your field, that may not be the case. And so when you look at companies, and the benefit of being a brand new college graduate is you're going to go to career fairs, you're going to apply for jobs, and you have the ability to look up those companies and find out about those companies before you apply, right? You don't have to just go gung-ho and be like, first dude who offers me a job, I'm ready, right? So you can look at these companies and find out what's important to you and let you be the indicator of that, right? Is it important for me that Cox gives back? Not really, but I like that they do it, right? I like knowing that. I spent last Christmas, my group, we built bikes and we gave this to Thomas J. Pappas School, right? And I felt good about that, right? To know that these kids were going to get free bikes, right? We did that. The year before that, we wrapped presents. Cox had a bunch of employees donate presents, we wrapped them, right? And those were things that I felt good about and that the company was paying me to do. It wasn't something like, they're like, hey, we want you off the phones. This is important to us, go do it, right? So that was something that was important to me. But as far as the grand scheme of things, when I researched Cox, no, that wasn't important to me. What was important to me personally is the time that I get with my family. My time is precious, and I don't get any more of it, right? You can make more money. You can't make more time. And so Cox gives me 4 weeks now that I've been there a long time, 5 weeks of vacation. I get to spend as much time with my family as I need. I don't work weekends, which is something we hated when I worked at Fry's. I get to see my kids. I come home, we have dinner every night together. Those things were important to me. And there have been other job opportunities that have come up that would have me travel for work. And I don't personally feel comfortable with that because I want to have dinner with my kids every night, right? I want to see them. I want us to spend weekends. I want us to spend birthdays together. And those things are going to be important to you. Some of you may not have a family yet, but when you do, things change. And that's where we go back to having a dynamic plan. Because right now, when it's just you, it's easy to say, I just want to make a lot of money. But when it's someone else involved, whether that's a spouse or a family member, those things become more important. So, the other thing I would say too is the pay or experience worth your while? Are you going to get what you need out of that company to either move up in that company or go wherever you want to go? Right? Because you may find a job that makes you happy and makes you a lot of money, but isn't part of the plan, and you're like, it's going to irk you. I wanted to do this other thing, and I'm here, and I'm happy with the job. I like it. I'm making good money, but that's what I really wanted to do. And so at that point, you're going to have to kind of, in your head, say, okay, maybe I stick with what I have because I know what I got, or you know what, I'm going to go for it, I'm going to go over here. And so it's something you may want to think about in planning that career process is that first job. If it's going to make you happy right out the gate and you're making money, are you going to stay there? And if you are, that's okay. Or is there somewhere else you want to be, and does this help you get there? Does that make sense? All right, so let's talk about your experience gap and disadvantages. For many of you, you're probably not going to have a lot of experience in your field, okay? And so that's going to be your biggest thing to overcome is you're going to have people in your field with more experience. So you're going to have to be ready to talk about that. Now, chances are, in your degree, you've done some projects, right? You've probably learned something that you can bring up during the interview. And so you want to do that, Okay, one of the things that now, let me just back up here. I have not had a job in economics, so I can't say that I've applied for a job in economics. But one of the things I love to tell people is that in my capstone class, I got to make a mini thesis about the relationships between people and economics and how the choices we make affect things. And some of the things I found on there was that if you look at it from a mathematical perspective, you can see why poor people tend to have more children than rich people, right? And the answer was the value of their time, right? If I make $10 an hour, children are time-expensive goods, right? They take a lot of time from you. If I lose a day of work, assuming I work 8 hours, I only lose $80. But if I make $100 an hour and I lose a day of work, I lose $800, right? So rich people think about that stuff. Poor people don't. And so a lot of times, that's why they tend to have more children from a purely mathematical perspective. Because their time is not as valuable. And so they'll ask you to tell them, sometimes in an interview, they'll say, tell me something interesting. And that's my go-to. I learned that in school, right? And so you'll have some project that you've done or something interesting that will separate you. And you'd be surprised how often something very little separates you in an interview. Got you thinking, didn't it? Right. More education. Sometimes you're going to have people with multiple degrees. Or you're going to have people with degrees that are in the field you want to be in, but you can still get in with your degree, right? So you're going to have people who have degrees in business. Maybe your degree's not in business, but you want to get into business. That's okay, right? But you need to be able to talk about your personal practical experience in order to get in there, right? And overcome this person who has that business degree. Because that business degree is going to come with, you know, some experience that they have been taught already. It's in their heads and they think differently than you may think. At least that's what the interview's going to think, right? So you want to be able to come in prepared. And if you have experience in other places, you need to tie that back to the interview. We'll talk more about interviews in a little bit. Some people are better networked. And a lot of times, this is going to be your main challenge because you don't get a job based on what you know. You get a job based on who you know. Okay? And you will learn that later on in life. I got into Cox because a friend got me into Cox. I interviewed for Cox when I was at ASU. I did not get that job. Okay, and I think I'm a pretty good interviewer. And so, you know, you want to network with people who are in that field. Find a mentor who's in your field. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an official mentoring program, per se, right? If you know someone who does the job already, right, talk to them. Ask them questions and listen to every word they say, right? And they may not be able to get you into their company per se, but they're going to be able to help you get into other companies or meet other people who can open those doors for you. And a lot of times you're going to find that interviews are formalities. Sometimes that position is already filled. And unless you can blow that person out of the water, it's a formality. So I'm not saying that's always the case, so please don't lose hope. That's not what I'm saying, but a lot of times it is, especially for higher up positions, right? Positions that pay more, you know, let's just put it this way, okay? Hiring is a risk. I don't know what I'm getting, right? If I hire you today and I don't know you, I don't know what kind of employee you are, I don't know what you know, I don't know anything, right? However, if Marcelino, someone I've known for years, right, passes me someone and he vouches for this person, my risk is lessened, right? I'm more likely to take the safe bet than I am for the riskier bet. And so it's your job to be less risky. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. And sometimes it's just bad luck. Right? I love this meme. Oh, get a job? Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet, squeeze down to the job cannon, and fire up into job land where jobs grow on jobbies? Right? Sometimes it's just bad luck. You know, I had applied for a position a couple years back, and I think it was for Groupon. And I was really excited about the position. And they limited the requisition. And the guy's like, yep, really excited for you. You know, we'll start you in a month. I think it was, at the time I was applying out at Chase. I had applied for this job. And the guy's like, yeah, we're really excited to have you on board. At a great starting salary. I was going to get a company car. It was all this cool stuff. And about a week later, he called me. I'm so sorry, the requisition was eliminated. We're not hiring for that position anymore. And this and that. And I was like, I was gung-ho. I was ready to put my 2 weeks in. Right? So sometimes it's bad luck, you know, or sometimes, you know, the recruiter drops the ball, I've had that happen too a couple times where good positions have come up and I was very tempted to take them. The recruiter would drop the ball and not do what they were supposed to do or the wrong information. Those kinds of things happen. So I don't want you to get down if you don't get a job, right? If you apply for a job that you really want, you didn't get it, it doesn't mean it's over. I have friends who had to apply 3 or 4 times to get in at Cox, right? And so don't give up, right? If anything, take those interviews, remember the questions that they asked you, remember what you did well, remember what you didn't do so well, and don't be afraid to ask for feedback, especially if you don't get the job. You know, I had interviewed for a supervisor position at Cox about 2 years ago, and I didn't get the job, and I asked later for feedback, and she told me I sounded really arrogant. And I did not realize that. I kind of did, but not really, right? But it humbled me. So when I went into my next interview, it was not as arrogant. And so those little things make a huge difference. And so you're going to have bad luck. That's going to happen, right? Prepare for it. Move on. Don't let it get you down. All right. So searching online versus career fairs. When you're searching online, it sometimes is a pain in the neck to search online. Okay. The problem with searching online is you'll go in, you'll look at a job, you'll find what you want, you'll upload your resume, and then guess what? It's going to have you fill out all these fields that just make a copy of your resume, right? It takes forever. But there are some benefits to applying online. It's very convenient. Okay, you can apply for a job online in the middle of the night in your underwear if you choose to. Right? There's no chance of making a bad impression that way, unless somehow you sent a video of your Skype while you're doing that. Please don't do that. Okay. Online applications are great for entry-level or lower-skill jobs, I think. Because, again, a lot of those higher-paying jobs and those higher-skill jobs tend to be networking-oriented, right? The online job, you're throwing that resume into a pool of applicants. It is getting searched by HR for keywords, okay? And, by the way, please make sure that you read the job posting and you have those keywords in your resume. Okay, if you don't have the keywords that are in the job posting, you will not get a call back. So we'll talk a little bit about tailoring your resume, but when it comes down to searching online for a job, the posting is there, and the posting will tell you verbatim what they want. And verbatim, you should have some of those things in your resume. Please do not put them in there if they're not true. Okay, if you've never done Microsoft Access or you don't know how to do Excel, please do not put that in there because you'll be tested once you get the job, right? But some of those things that are in there will say, you know, manage 6 to 10 people for 2 years or more. So you want in your resume exactly how it reads, managed, you know, 2 people for whatever amount of time, right? You want that in there. The great part too is you have a minimal chance of making a bad first impression. Okay, you can't go and meet somebody and say, hi, my name's Luce, wait, my name's Daniel. Yeah, my bad, sorry. Right, you can't screw it up. Or sometimes you'll run into the person you want and it just happens to be a bad hair day. Or maybe you're not dressed the way you want, right? You really can't make that bad impression online unless your resume has spelling errors and things like that. We'll talk about that in a second. Oh, welcome. Almost feel like I should start over. All right. Most of the job info will be in the posting, so you will know more or less if you qualify. If you do not qualify, I still recommend that you apply for the position. Okay? Some positions do not get enough applicants, and you may just win it by default. Nice, right? So it doesn't happen often, so don't count your chickens. But a lot of times too, really all you want is that interview. Right? That's what you really want. You want to talk to somebody face to face and be able to tell them, look, I am your rock star. I'm the person you're looking for. Okay? All these other guys, they got nothing on me. Don't say it like that. But that's what you want to convey. Right? And you can tailor your resume and cover letter in advance. Okay? And if you're not using a cover letter, use a cover letter. Okay? And the cover letter should be tailored and not be copies of your resume. Yes, sir?
What is a cover letter?
Cover letter is a brief overview of why you should get the job, right? Now there are some HR people who don't read them, but most do, and it separates you from everyone else. I can almost guarantee you 75, 80% of candidates do not use a cover letter, right? So understand a recruiter's job. A recruiter has to sort through hundreds of resumes and try to find the best applicants, right? And all you have is this giant list of things that people have done. And some of them are interesting, some of them are boring. But if you have a letter that says, hi HR person, my name's Daniel Carrasco, and here's why I think I'd be a great candidate. I have this experience, I have that experience, I'm also on the board of this, I'm on the board of that, I've done this with my community, I know this about your company. Again, not too much, but you want to have enough on there. And this is why I think my values align with the company's values. I can't wait to hear from you, right? You've now taken the guesswork out of that HR person's job, right? And they're more likely to at least hear what you have to say, right? And this is great when you don't qualify for something. It's great all the time, but it's even better when you don't qualify for something. Your cover letter should never be the same as another cover letter. You have to write a new one. The gist can kind of be the same as far as like, my name is Daniel Carrasco and this is what I do or whatever, but it needs to have the job title in it, and then you should have a few points, no more than 3, I would say, because again, HR person doesn't have a whole lot of time to read everything. 3 short snippets of why you're a good fit for the job. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you, or something like that, okay? Make sure that you're using that. But you can tailor both the resume and the cover letter in advance, right? You read the job post and you're like, yep, that's what I want to do. Boom, resume, cover letter, tailor it, and submit it off.
Before you go too far, one thing I do want to point out, the online stuff, I think people realize this in their heart, but they may not mentally realize this. A lot of that is sifting by a computer, unfortunately. It's not by an HR person. So you may have the world's best resume when you put it online, but if you do not have the specific keywords that they're looking for, it will automatically filter you out and say you're not qualified. Which is really sad, but that happens.
Yeah.
I have heard, off the record here I'll say, but somebody was smart enough to say they were going to take their resume, put it in black on white, so black lettering on white, and then they wrote white on white every keyword that was ever in the description just to get through that filter.
Right, and so go back to, again, the job info is on the posting. Those are the keywords there, guys. They're giving you the answers.
They are giving you the answers.
Right, so don't use the thesaurus, don't make it sound, over the top. Use the words that they're going to use, right? And this is especially important if your job is technical, right? So I do cable, right? So if you've messed with Cat5, right, which is the coax cable, those kinds of things, you want to use that terminology because HR person doesn't do that, right? And the system may not do that, but it's looking for Cat5, right? Or servers or something, something technical. You want the exact term on what it would be in that lingo. Don't change it up. Don't describe it. Use the exact words. But normally, he's 100% correct. The sifting system will look for the keywords. If the keywords aren't in there, they're not going to pick up your resume. No one's going to look at it.
So the big thing is never lie on your resume, because that will bite you one way or another. But